Welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Tell a friend. Here we have another crazy story. Don't forget, I tell these stories not to make fun of the individuals, just to hopefully to educate other individuals, not to make the mistakes that these individuals made. It's a terrible thing. That's it.
Number of criminal you'd expect to find there. Al-Qaeda members, domestic terrorists, billionaire cartel bosses, prison gang bosses, a mafia boss, and a rapper? Now, historically,
Rod Diggs. You know, I believe he was part of the Notorious Bloodhounds? I don't know. There's so many of these gangs out here. I get them confused. You know, there's so many of them. It's a terrible thing. I do know that he was a gang member. I do know that he's in the ADX right now. As I said, he's the only rapper in there. Some people will say, you know what? You don't know how he grew up. You don't know what type of upbringing he had. No, you don't. But hopefully you have a better understanding right now.
rappers say and do dumb shit, and don't feel two ways about writing, recording, mixing, mastering, and releasing it either. But what exactly did a rapper do to get himself locked up in the most secure fortress on the planet? Before the self-incriminating lyrics...
Don't forget. It's happening right now. That's what's going on with Lil Durk right now. They said that they're going to use his lyrics against him to basically throw him in jail for the rest of his life. A whole lot of these individuals, they say they're tough until it's time to really get tough. When it's time to really get tough, that means, you know, it's time to go to jail. A lot of these individuals say, you know what, all you do is talk about people. No, I just tell people situation. That's all I do. I didn't do this for him. I didn't do it.
Raising tweets. Ronald Herron was born and raised in the underbelly of Brooklyn, New York. Even as a child, Herron found himself pursuing a life of crime. In '94, a 12-year-old Herron witnessed his 13-year-old friend being fatally shot by a police officer while running around with a toy rifle. A story with the makings of a villain origin story. He was featured in the New York Times for this. His first arrest was in 1995, when he was just 13 after getting bagged for...
So as I'm saying, I mean, these individuals, career criminals, that's where they end up, I didn't tell them to do whatever they did. They chose to do whatever they did. But the consequence that comes along with it is what a lot of these individuals don't want to accept for these individuals. That's a problem. They say F Service TV. Why are you talking bad about people you don't know? I'm not. I'm just telling a story that I heard. That's it. Unbelievable.
And since then, up until his final arrest in 2010 at the age of 28, Herron never stayed out of prison for more than 2 years. While in prison, Herron ascended to one of the highest ranks among the Bloods in New York. His criminal...
As I said, he will remind me of a modern day, what's his name? GZ Moolah, I believe his name is, Rod Diggs. These individuals, they don't know how to stay out of jail for 2 years is a long time, believe it or not. Some of these individuals, they go back behind the bars annually. Think about that. You know, it's a crazy thing, but it's the life they chose. And the life they chose, harsh consequences comes along with it. Real harsh consequences comes along with it.
Operation would come to extend throughout the Boerum Hill neighborhood of Brooklyn. From small-time robberies to narcotics and then violent murders, Herron's life was a story of criminality, some he brought to light himself through his music. Despite his frequent run-ins with the law, he managed to have a relatively successful career as a rapper and collaborated with artists like Uncle Murder.
The issue is a whole lot of these individuals in certain neighborhoods, they promote criminality, you know, they support it so much. There wouldn't be so many crimes in certain neighborhoods if other individuals didn't promote it so much. Rod Diggs was only out of jail for a few months before he got into the rap industry. These individuals didn't care that he was a notorious person. They actually rather him like that. So they could say, you know what, you know who I got with me, you know how you get down, It's crazy like that how they think.
And Waka Flocka Flame. To his fans, Heron was a hero who used his charisma and talent to portray life on the streets of Brooklyn. Heron would post music on his YouTube channel called Van God Ent. As of 2024, his channel has over 1 million views with 3,000 subscribers.
After a while, he started calling himself a vanguard. Do you know what a vanguard is? If you don't know what a vanguard is, go look it up. You have a rough idea where his mind was at. You know, don't forget, a whole lot of these individuals, they do a whole lot of things, but try to get a job. Imagine that. Imagine that, but try to get a job.
Most of the traffic comes from his song titled Eulogy, which has a respectable 1.1 million views. But to those who knew him on the streets, Heron was really about the stuff he rapped about. The leader of the murderous Mad Dogs, a blood set involved in pushing drugs, racketeering, and murder. The gang operated in the Gowanus and Wyckoff Gardens housing projects in Brooklyn. Heron started his crack empire on 4th.
I'm trying to figure if most of these individuals know their fathers. I don't know. Maybe some of them do. You know, they said F-Service TV. Why you talking bad about people? I'm the one who told him to go do all those crimes. It was me. It was me. I'm the one who told him to do all that. It was me. Unbelievable.
3 Baltic Street in the late 90s and expanded his territory fast. He started by using his apartment as a stash house for drugs and weapons, and where his crew members stayed overnight, using his connection from the Bloods. Heron expanded his influence, recruiting dealers, muscle for protection, and enforcers to drive out rivals from the block. Heron further expanded his enterprise, establishing control over...
Don't forget, they said Rod Diggs wanted to take over. He wanted to become the big homies of all the big homies. You know? And you know what? Maybe he is one of the big homies, all the big homies right now, because he's the only one in the ADX. He's a real big homie of all the big homies. It's crazy.
Sales from various buildings in Boerum Hill, including multiple in the Gowanus, New York City Housing Authority that he had grown up in. At 19 years old, Ronald graduated to being a murderer. In 2001, he had his first victim, Frederick Brooks, a rival.
Unfortunately, Mr. Brooks is no longer around, and Rod Diggs is in ADX. Crazy how life turns out. But you know what? Some people say, you know, why you talking bad about him? Imagine that. Imagine that. I'm just talking, that's it.
Drug dealer. After a loud argument, Heron shot Brooks in the face, neck, back, and head, and left him to bleed to death. After, Heron took control of the building where Brooks
And I'm assuming that's when he started getting his reputation of being a notorious individual. Like I told you, these individuals don't get respect unless they commit crimes. You know? So he did a crime, then he said, you know what, I'm taking over now. It's crazy. He didn't want to get a job.
Not long after Heron was arrested and put on trial for the murder, he was eventually released when witnesses refused to testify, likely the result of
Criminal
intimidation.
supporters.
Regardless, he was sentenced for drug charges soon after and remained locked up until 2007. After his release in
2007 is when he came out. Keep in mind, he's been going back and forth since he was a little fellow. He never learned. Believe it or not, some people, they just don't learn. They learn, but sometimes it takes so much for them to learn, so much.
2007, Heron got back in the streets, solidifying operations, recruiting sellers, securing apartments for stash houses, and organizing crack sales. The rapid expansion brought a lot of enemies, from whom he needed constant protection. Heron was always armed, walked around with henchmen, and enhanced his power through extortion.
Don't forget, these individuals, they're from the projects. And most individuals from the projects, they say, you know where you go from the projects? Right to jail. Is that the truth? I have to admit, a whole lot of individuals from the projects go right to jail afterwards. But I have to admit also, because they normally commit crimes, that's it. They don't go to jail just to go to jail. They normally commit a crime, get caught, and then go to jail. It's a terrible thing.
Robbery, assault, and killings. Years later, a close associate would reveal that more than once, Heron had even cross-dressed in lipstick, makeup, and a wig to intimidate other local drug dealers. By now, he was so feared that drug dealers started seeking permission to sling drugs from Heron. Heron was keen on wiping out the moles in his crew, and
He became a bad man, the notorious Rod Diggs. Imagine that. Wearing lipstick, wearing dresses, do whatever he got to do to get up close to his rivals. He was a bad man, Rod Diggs. That's probably why he's in ADX right now. It's not my fault. Am I talking bad about him? I don't think so. I'm just reporting what I heard. That's it. Believe it or not, a whole lot of individuals say, you know what, Rod Diggs. But very rarely do these individuals talk about the individuals who Rod Diggs have been accused of unaliving. They have no sympathy for those individuals. For some reason, people think that Rod Diggs is special because he's a notorious trigger puller. It's a crazy thing.
and keeping a constant eye on them. Richard Russo, one of Heron's associates, had tried to create internal conflict, undermining Heron and plotting to eliminate him. When Heron caught wind of this, he decided to eliminate him ASAP. On May 9th, 2008, Heron confronted Russo in a Gowanus Projects lobby, forced him into the elevator, and shot him in the head.
That's the type of individuals they say that Rod Diggs was. Having sympathy for somebody who wants to shoot somebody in the head is a crazy thing. You have to be a crazy person. Unless he didn't really do it. But if he really did it, the ADX is the ideal place for him. Imagine that. Because Alcatraz is no longer around. So I'm assuming ADX is the ideal place for Rod Diggs. They say he's a notorious trigger puller. It's a terrible thing. But it's really like that though. Unbelievable.
Heron later absolved himself by destroying the forensic evidence and disposing of the firearm used in the murder. In November 2008, Heron found himself in another territorial beef. A certain Victor Zapata encroached on Heron's turf in Wyckoff and shot Heron's distributor, Maya, 5 times, but she survived. Livid, Heron and his...
Believe it or not, there's a video of this female Maya testifying against Rod Diggs. She said that he used to supply her with everything that she needed. So don't forget, people say, right, why are you talking bad about somebody you don't even know? I'm not talking bad about anybody at all. Only thing I'm doing is explaining the story that I heard. And this individual who they say, if he really did it, he should be in the ADX. He really should. He's a notorious trigger puller.
Associates recorded a meeting with Maya in the hospital, in which he pledged vengeance on her behalf. Heron stayed true to his threat, and on the 27th of September 2009, after hunting Zapata for months, spotted and chased Zapata on foot. Zapata fell from a gunshot, and Heron stood over him and executed him in the Wyckoff Gardens courtyard.
Okay.
This was enough of a message that anyone who crossed Rod Diggs would end up in a body bag. After being on the
See why he's an ADX Mac. He's a bad guy. He was feared in his neighborhood. He was never respected. He was only feared. Everyone who say, you know what, this about Rod Diggs, that, they only feared him. No one really respected him. He was a feared man. Because they knew he was somewhat of a lunatic in a sense. That was it.
PD radar since he got out of prison in 2007. He was finally arrested in 2010, oddly enough, for dropping a cellophane gum wrapper, a littering charge. In the proceedings of Brooklyn Federal Court, police officer Carlos Anchundia took to the...
Imagine that. They say he got caught up because he dropped a gum wrapper. Is that how they got his fingerprints? I don't know. Is that what I heard? I don't know. Believe it or not, he committed all the crimes, murders allegedly. Why didn't he leave out the neighborhood? He didn't. He just wanted to stay in his projects and kept on corrupt and causing havoc on people. You know, that's all he wanted to keep on doing. That was it. Then the ADX came and said, hey, you know what? We got a place for you. Unbelievable.
Unexpected the encounter was for him. I stopped hundreds of people in my career, and he's the first person who was wearing body armor. After the testimony, Heron found himself under the legal spotlight, forced to appear in court for the heavy military-style body armor.
So Rod Diggs was so scared of everybody, paranoid, he started wearing body armors. Imagine that. Who he thought he was. Wearing body armors out here in the projects. You know? Unbelievable. Now you see why he's in the ADX. He's not there for no reason at all.
wearing on the day of his arrest. A few months later, on October 5th, 2010, Heron was arrested outside of a nightclub after a surveillance operation by the NYPD and U.S. deputy marshals. Heron found himself facing 23 counts of racketeering this time. Heron's latest arrest was a result of confidential informants who played a primary role in tracing his alleged crime.
See, you can't trust nobody. They said there's such thing as friends. There really is. I know. They're all hanging out in jail together. I know. Unbelievable.
Moreover, his rap lyrics emerged as strong evidence, in which he openly rapped about the crimes he allegedly committed. But given his reputation for scaring witnesses silent, extra measures were taken during his trial. U.S. Marshals were used for security outside the courthouse.
He's a bad man.
There was an anonymous jury, and Heron was kept in the hole in the prison he was in
He's a bad
so that
man.
he couldn't communicate. In court, it was revealed that Heron rapped about the murder of Terry Cramley's, also known as Slow Shot, who shot him in the left leg during a drug-related dispute.
Unbelievable. They say crime don't pay. But these individuals will never learn. Most individuals don't learn until they go behind the bars. Sometimes it takes them up to 15 years, 20 years to be behind the bars to really learn. Sometimes 5 and 10 years is not enough. Because, for example, Rod Diggs, he was been going in and out the bars from a young person's age. And he kept on doing it as an old person's age.
He rapped about a disturbing narrative that may or may not have been drawn from actual events.
Shot me 5 times, 2 days later the nigga died.
After going through the layers of the song,
that's the type of stuff that Rod Diggs was putting in the songs. Self-incrimination. Till next time, they say crime don't pay, but I see him do it though. ADX, they say he's never getting out. He got the 150 years plus that life. Hopefully, these individuals will learn how to be more productive and not be like a Rod Diggs, for example. Get a job. Imagine that. They say if you have a job, it's 9 times out of 10, you don't have to worry about going to the ADX and wasting your life away like a worthless person. Unbelievable. The strong arm of justice. It's going to come get you if you're being a bad guy. It's a terrible thing.